Mount Everest. I've sailed the 7 seas. I've shared the stage with all the best. A lot of good it did for me.
There's what?
I've walked the walls of China. Walked till my feet were sore. Came home to
Hey guys, this is Tattoo Tony, and welcome back to the second part of the East St. Louis High School. We came and visited this high school. It's in the middle of a federal housing project called John D. Shields in East St. Louis. The first thing I noticed pulling up is that there was a community center where they tried to fix the lettering by spray painting on the metal community center sign. The second thing I noticed was all the large caliber bullet holes that were shot through this metal sign. The third thing I noticed is that apartments sat directly around and behind where people are firing their guns into this sign. So we looked around for a place to park, and I saw some gentlemen at the end sitting outside with a couple little kids playing.
Stop recording.
Probably 3 and 4-year-old girls playing on their tricycles, and I started to think, holy cow, look at all these bullet holes that are right around the area where these children are out playing. And it kind of made me sad. It also made me angry that there's people out there that have no respect for life and no respect for their own or other people's lives. So I asked the men sitting out there if I could park there. They said, yeah, that's fine, you know. And I mentioned to him, you know, all the bullet holes in the sign, and he showed me. He pointed up at his apartment building and showed me the bullet holes in the apartment building, probably right where families and kids sleep. So anyways, it's the John D. Shields housing projects, and it's sad. The dumpsters even look bad. The trash laying around looks bad. It's really sad. It just really and truly is sad. But anyways, I don't want to get too political about it. It's just terrible. This school sits right in the middle of these housing projects, and I believe at one point it was a high school and was later a middle school. There's another part to this video after this, at least one more part, and there's some really cool stuff to see. In any case, I've gotten a few news stories I collected from John D. Shields just to give you an idea of some of the things that happen here. Directly from this news story excerpt, it says, a 33-year-old man was shot early Friday at John D. Shields and later died. Police Chief Michael Hubbard identified the victims as Deontavian Wilson. Hubbard did not have an address for the victim. The victim was driven to Touche Hospital in Centerville for treatment of his wounds and later passed away from the injuries. St. Clair County Coroner Calvin Dye Sr. said that the autopsy revealed the victim had sustained a gunshot wound to his chest. Here's another one. After an 8-time convicted felon, Cortez Hibbler was found guilty earlier this week of robbery at a federal housing project. Several public officials are speaking out about the horrors at John D. Shields in East St. Louis. HUD, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, is the landlord to one of the most dangerous housing projects in the area, maybe in the nation, said Senator Dick Durbin. That's an Illinois senator. So the school is next to one of the possibly most dangerous housing projects in the country. He added that it was inexcusable and that more can be done to make the living situation for those tenants safer. I'll tell you one thing that can be done. everybody plays a part in this. I said I wouldn't get political, but people in their own communities need to speak to police and root out people that are dangerous with guns. They're not good people. They shoot guns, they commit all these crimes, and there's children living around. This is where your kids are growing up. Everybody needs to stick together and say, you know what, I don't want to live this way. I want to go to and from work and live my life without violence and danger. And everybody needs to get together and quit being afraid and turn these people over to the police. We need to lock them up and throw away the key, because once you cross that line, we really don't need you in society. Anyways, there's my soapbox. Durbin's views are one and the same with St. Clair County State's Attorney Brendan Kelly. In a candid comment at the bottom of the press release this week, Kelly stated, per capita, the John DeShields housing project is statistically one of the most dangerous areas in the country because of people like Cortez Hibbler. The children there deserve a chance to grow up in a safe place, free of this kind of violent crime. Durbin says he has personally reached out to local law enforcement, East St. Louis Mayor Alvin Parks Jr., along with U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, but more needs to be done. Durbin attributes part of the lack of federal government's attention due to funding and national budget crisis. He suggests that HUD should increase security in the area. State's Attorney Brendan Kelly suggested even hiring a private security firm to supplement local law enforcement. The Special Crime Task Force that's working to reduce crime in the Metro East is doing a lot of good, but they can't do it alone, Durbin said. Durbin says cooperation needs to happen with tenants of John DeShields. If criminals are going to be silenced, we need evidence to convict these folks that are guilty of violent crimes. We're not going to make much progress here. Kelly says efforts are ongoing between all levels of law enforcement to prosecute the criminals. The main hurdles, the limited law enforcement resources, and dealing with what he calls the public's crisis of faith in institutions like police and courts. We're trying to do our best to reach out to people living in public housing to get them to trust law enforcement more, to get them to be courageous enough to come forward with information so we can build stronger cases. In any case, there's some bad police, some bad politicians, but most people are inherently good people, as are the residents of the housing complex. Most of them are inherently good. And good people need to stick together and trust each other so that we can take folks who don't want to be productive members of society and, put them somewhere. Even if you don't want to be productive, just don't be a hindrance on other people's freedom and happiness. These violent criminals make people in these areas prisoners. It's terrible. Government, more funding can only go so much. Attitudes have to change. Victim mentalities are not helpful. I don't know. There's a lot of problems. It just disgusts me, though. If you would too, I'm not trying to make an example or make anybody look bad, but the information that is out there is what is out there, and I just present it. If you want to go type in John DeShields Fights or John DeShields East St. Louis on YouTube and look at what some of the residents find as entertaining. There's a bunch of girl fights and swearing and people hitting each other and little kids standing around outside watching it as people who are of an age where they should know better are getting in on the argument and encouraging the fights. We got to find a better sort of entertainment. I don't know. It seems like sometimes there's a role that culture and music and different things play, and there's stereotypes, and then it seems as though some people in different parts of society feel it necessary to live up to those stereotypes. And it also makes me incredibly sad, angry, I don't know what. I just don't feel good about the fact that people are willing to film themselves in their own communities, beating each other up, swearing, pushing somebody down, kicking them, acting quote-unquote like ghetto trash, and then film it and then put it up on the internet as if it's funny, showing how well they can match up to the stereotypes and thoughts that some people have about them. I know that isn't the whole community. I know that's not everyone there. I know some people that live in these areas are also disgusted and ashamed of the negative connotations that these people bring. And I know one thing, we only have responsibility
This place is a lot bigger than you think, dude.
for our own behavior. That's the only thing we can control, is what we do and the choices we make, and we can't really blame outside entities for the choices we've made and what we do in our lives. Some of us are born into better situations, some worse, but you know, just this victim blaming mentality isn't getting anybody anywhere. And this video turned into a soapbox. The next one I promise won't. Maybe I'll find some interesting historical information or just comment on what you're seeing. Hope you guys are enjoying this video. It's been a while since I've narrated a video and been up, so let me know if you like it, and it'll encourage me to start making more. By the way, if you want to see some of my photographs, go to TattooTonyAlton, no spaces, on Instagram, and check out some of the awesome photos I've been taking recently while I'm out and about. Thanks for watching. Make sure you hit the like button and comment.